my beautiful fellow mum, it's Veena V here, the founder of Mum to Millionaire. Please do join the community if you want to excel in business and life. Oh God, I'm so tired. Today we are talking about how you can still be friends with your ex if you have a child with them. I'm going to try and give as many tips as I possibly can, but this is more going to be kind of my experience and my story, what has gone on. If you haven't watched my previous videos in Behind Closed Doors yet, brand new series here on the Mum to Millionaire YouTube channel, make sure you go and watch them, because I did talk about postnatal depression, and then last week's video feeds into this video, so you might want to go and watch that first. And that was all about domestic abuse, physical, emotional, and the guy that did it to me is actually the father of my child. So you might want to go and watch that first, because today we are talking about how I overcame that, because I want my son to have a very good relationship with his dad. And I think this is where a lot of people, I don't like to use the word wrong, but it's where people kind of get really struggle, because how can you be friends with someone who has abused you in the past? It's extremely difficult. And basically, I will tell you my story. Okay, so 7 years ago, my son was born, and I basically was a single mum from the very start. I had split up with my ex already because of all the stuff he had done to me and what was going on. But we were still kind of together, but throughout the pregnancy. But really, when my son was born, a few months in, maybe 2 months, 3 months in, I was like, that's enough. So we split up, and it was kind of an easy transition. I was living in London, and then I moved back in to go and live with my parents. So even though I was a single mum from the start, the first 2 years I had my parents helping me, in the sense that, you know, there was food always cooked and all that kind of stuff. They were both working full time, so I was with my son by myself all the time, as probably most mums are. We can do another video on this. I don't want to kind of digress onto that story. But if we kind of concentrate on how I've managed now to be friends with my ex after everything that has happened between us. And, you know, I'm not a saint either. I could have reacted better to certain things, even in the way how I've treated my own son. I've been very snappy in the past with him, and it's never been his fault, but his dad might have made me very angry. He, you know, never used to come on time. Some days he wouldn't even show up, and I would have to be the one lying to my own son from a very young age. He would be, you know, waiting, going, "Where's daddy?" And I would just be like, "Oh, you know, daddy's had to work." But inside, I was so upset, so angry. A lot of the time, I would maybe have to put a film on for my son, come upstairs, and I would just cry. Because I would be like, this is not fair. He's not coming to see his son. He's still arguing with me. He was still being abusive to me at this point. I would say the emotional abuse only stopped maybe 2 years ago, and then last year was a real turning point. And it's like we can be friends now, because we have that banter between us, and I even go out together with my son, with my ex, and we all go and have a nice time. We go out and do shopping together, we go for days out together. And if you were to look at us, you would think, oh, they're such a happy family. Obviously, there's no kind of, we don't love each other anymore. I'm never going to get back with him. But if you were to look at us, you would not realize all the stuff that I've been through. So when my son was very young, up until maybe the age of, God, all the way maybe until the age of 5, so 5 years, God, it sounds such a long time. I had resentment for my ex. I came to the realization of, oh my God, how could he have been so horrible to me? Why is he still being so horrible to me? I'm looking after our son full time, and he still has the audacity to call me up and say horrible things, or say I'm not a good mother, say, this could be a very long video. kind of saying all the stuff he used to say with me, but number one, it's pointless. I think you kind of get the gist. And number two, I don't want to go back to where I was. Like I've mentioned in my other videos, I'm in a very good and happy place right now. And for me to kind of think about all the stuff that has happened in the past, I would come crashing down. So I'm not going to go into too much of all that kind of stuff. Like I said, a lot of the time I was very resentful to him. I was very bitter, even though I tried my hardest not to be. I was so bitter towards him because I just did not understand why you would not pick up your son on time. And if you're a single mum like me, you will understand that if you're with your child constantly, when it's your ex's weekend to pick him up, you obviously want them to be on time because you might have planned stuff. I would sometimes plan business stuff, just going out to see my friends. I lost so much contact with so many people because I physically could not be going out when I've got a little child to look after. And I'm trying to, I'm working at the same time and all that kind of stuff. And it just used to annoy me and make me so angry every time. And it would happen, he has his son every other weekend. Without fail, every other weekend he would be late. And I would go crazy. I would shout. I would be like, why are you late? I've got stuff to do. It just wasn't nice at all. And this went on for years. But I learned over time that, and bearing in mind, I say over time, it took me years to learn this. I had to have it mentally in my head. I knew what weekend he was picking up, but I just couldn't plan stuff. The time he was supposed to come is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but sometimes he wouldn't turn up till 5, 6. And in those hours, I would have to be explaining to my son, oh, daddy's really late. Daddy was working late last night. And just make up the most ridiculous lies. And then I just had to really think in my head, look, you know he's gonna be late, so just don't plan stuff. And I know this is a really kind of, it's not a great tip, but if your ex was like how my ex is, fortunately, thank God, he's not like this anymore, but he was like that for about 6 years. So if you're currently going through that, and I know it's horrible, I know what you're going through, I know you're angry, upset, you might be bitter, but don't let those feelings consume you, because trust me, you will get ill. I got ill at one point because I was so stressed about work, money, even my son's behavior was so bad that people just don't understand. When they, if you see him in my, even my son now, he's much better. But before, my God, we would be in the house. He'd be pushing me. He tried to push me down the stairs once. This is another video in itself, which I will do next week, actually, about my son's behavior. But, it's been really difficult, but my first kind of tip and advice for you would be to just have in your mind, look, they might not turn up. You can't control that situation. You can't control the other person, but what you can control is your own emotions, okay? And your own feelings. So if you know in your head, even though if they've promised and even though if they've said they will 100% come, always have in your head they're not going to come. So always maybe make a backup plan. If they are going to be late or not going to come, maybe have a film that you and your child want to watch, or maybe you could plan to go somewhere to the park, or just have something planned just in case your ex does not show up. And not only will that stop you feeling angry as soon as you see them, because you just accepted, look, they're going to be late, accept it. And then, you are saving yourself all that frustration, anger and tears, okay? So that is my first tip for you. Number 2, realize that they may never change. It's taken my ex a good kind of 6 years to change his behavior. Like I said, finally now he will come on time. He will actually come early sometimes. Can you believe it? And one thing I have to stop myself doing now is even stop living in the past. Because even now he's coming on time. It's all happy days for us. Sometimes I do think, wow, if only you did this 7 years ago. But again, you have to try so hard to not live in the past. Yes, they are an idiot for what they used to do, but you have to go with it for the sake of your children, for the sake of your child. If I was constantly bashing my son's dad, that's not fair on my son. It's not at all. Saying that, moving on to my tip number 3 is, even though I used to lie constantly to my son about where his dad was, why he didn't show up, it came a point where my son used to turn on me. He was about 5 and he would say, "You're a liar, you told my dad not to come," you know, and just really getting angry at me. And then once I don't know if this was the right or wrong thing to do. If there's any parenting experts watching this video, please feel free to comment below. Or let me know your thoughts on the situation, what you would do. I'm really interested to know. I actually showed my son my phone and I said, just read these text messages. And it was text messages from me to his dad going, "Good morning, what time are you coming today?" No response. Then I'd be like, "Where are you? Where are you?" And there'd be messages going, "What time are you coming? Where are you?" And there'd be messages from his dad just going, "I'm going to be late." And that is it. I would be calling him, he wouldn't answer. Going back to my previous point, you just have to bite your tongue and be like, "Look, I know he's going to be late, so you just have to accept it." But I showed my son the messages and then I just hugged him after. I went, "Look, Mummy and Daddy both love you so much, so much. And Daddy sometimes does bad behaviour, but when he does bad behaviour, there's always a consequence." And I won't go into that now. You can go and watch my previous video about, you know, what his dad has done in the past. A little link will pop up right now. You can go and watch that a bit later on. And I would just say to him, "Look, Daddy's trying to be a good boy. He's trying very hard," and just really explain it like that. And like I said before, I would just keep my son occupied. So in my head, I would accept, okay, he's going to be late. Just trying to make sure I just do stuff with him. So when his dad finally did arrive, it wasn't like this period of me getting angry, shouting and all this stuff. You know, even at my son, I'm not a saint. I've been angry before and taken it out on my son. And I'm not proud of that at all. And I just pray whatever your situation is, that it does get better and the father of your child does start helping. Or if you're having a lot of arguments, look at yourself as well and look what you're doing. And I know that might be a harsh thing for me to say, but look at your own way you're dealing with things. Your ex might have not been like mine and abusive to you. You just literally may not get on and you might literally hate your ex so much, but you have to get on for the sake of your children. You really do. And if you don't want to be friends with them, that's fine, but at least be civil with them. At least smile when they come and be like, "Hi, you're right." Just do a general chit chat, even though inside you might hate them. Just try your best, because remember, your children are watching everything. That's why now I always try and make sure my son has a really good time when he's got both of us together. Both of us together. And even now I'm doing this video, it's still a challenge all the time. We might still get in an argument, but now it might be a different kind of argument, more of the kind of friends argument or different parenting styles. So again, I try my best to see the other person's point of view. I analyze my own behavior. I try and not to have arguments in front of my son. And the main thing is communication. I talk so openly to my son, maybe too openly for some people. What I want to say to you is just remember that, again, and I've said it in all these videos in this new series, Behind Closed Doors, you are not alone. Try and seek out support from other single parents or, you know, other parents that can help and support you. And just realize so many people are going through what you're going through right now. Just try your best to get on with your ex. At the end of the day, you might physically not be able to do that because everyone's situation is different. But like I said in this video, just try and analyze your own behavior. Remember, you can't control them. You really can't, but you can control how you're feeling and take those steps. And I know it's hard. It's so hard. Trust me, I know how hard it is. Even sometimes now I'm like, oh my God, I'm so angry. But you can't live in the past. You just have to live in the present and keep moving forward in your life and just try and create a really solid foundation for your children. That's the best we can do. We can't do anything else. Just try your best. And I just really hope everything works out for you. I'm sure it will. Stay positive. And I know that's a really silly thing to say maybe, but you have to. You have to stay positive and happy, because if you don't, you'll get in a spiral, a cycle, and you'll just keep going downhill. So before you start going downhill, just stop, breathe, and realize you're not alone. Lots of people in the same situation with you. Like I always say, go and get help, go and speak to someone, and your life will not always be like this, I promise you. You know, seriously, if I was to look back at me and my situation when I would be on the floor crying, you know, looking up, thinking I want to die, I just would not be here now. You have to make the best of your situations and keep moving forward. And remember, you are not stuck in that situation. You are not stuck. It's temporary. It's like a storm that is passing, and there's always sun and light at the end. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope this has helped you. I've got some videos over there, the last 2 episodes. If you missed them, please go and watch them. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye.